This is page 8. Actually, it's page 8 through 17, I think. It's the review for the last books. The stuff that in theory you already know and you got down pat, and having been through it myself, I know most people don't. So a review comes in handy. It's like eating your vegetables. It's kind of yucky, but you got to do it. On page 9, they talk about triads. A triad is a type of chord. It is a 3-note chord. Tri means 3, okay, big deal. And generally speaking, when it's in what it's called its root position, it's every other note in the key. And in the music, it's the lines are next to each other or the spaces are next to each other. They give you examples up there. That's a triad. In reality, a triad is just a 3-note chord. It doesn't matter what arrangement the notes are in. But that's what we're studying here. Fingering for right now, because there's a lot of different fingerings. We're using 5-finger positions, so generally the fingering is going to be 1, 3, and 5, because those are the fingers that would be on those keys. Doesn't have to be. The fingering you use in a triad in music depends on the music, what came before and what's after, and what do you need, just what else is going on. But this is a nice fingering for a triad, okay. There are triad types, or what they call triad types. I call them flavors. You call them anything you want. They're variations. You alter the triad just a little bit. Now, this is where people get into trouble, so watch out. We think of triads or chords. We are actually dealing with letter names, the note names. Here it is a C, an E, and a G, the note names. I could alter this. Let's say I do this, and I still want to call that C-E-G. Well, this then has to be what's known as a double flat, because I take a G and I flat it, and then I flat it again is a G double flat. So it would be a C-E-G, but the G is a double flat. I'm using the same note names. Watch out. So types, you have what's known as a major. And intervals, I'll get to intervals in a bit, but right now just remember you have a third here and here. We're talking triads built on thirds, a third on top of a third. And in a major triad, that is a major third. A major third consists of 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor third is 3 half steps, 1 less. So a major triad is simply a major third and a minor third. Minor third's on top. It's important. If I want to augment it or increase it, I'm going to take the top note and take it up 1. That would be an augmented chord. We're dealing C major, because C's on the bottom. C major. This is a C augmented chord. Next one, they lower the middle here a half step. Well, now I've turned my major and minor triads around. Now it's a minor and major triad. I flipped them. Well, that's a minor C minor chord. And I'm still using the same note names, C, E, G. This is an E flat, not a D sharp, because D is not in this chord. So it's an E flat, minor chord. And then, of course, the diminished, a full diminished is 2 minor triads. So I have a minor triad and a minor triad. But again, I'm using the same note names, C, E, G. So it's C, E flat, G flat. That's a C diminished. Yep, clear as mud? Okay, let's move on. By the way, they do mention at the bottom of the page, page 9, there's a file, a CD of music, files that come with this to help you out. A lot of method books do this. I never listen to them. I'm not interested. They do their thing, I do mine. I present these lessons the way I would teach them. And that may or may not be what's on the file, just whatever. So you knock yourself out with that CD or music or whatever you think you need help with. But in these lessons, I'm going totally on what I think. Well, good luck with that. Let's go to page 10. Here we got playing them. I'm not really going to go all with this. You just briefly, the first one's, notice the bass clef, and we're down here. So I'm going to use left hand because it's closer to those notes. There's no rule says I have to use left hand on those. It's just more convenient than reaching clear over there with the right hand. It's a C chord. And by the way, one thing about these, when you get down low, the notes get muddy when they're close together. That's why you'll see a lot of arrangements when it's down here, the notes are not close together, they're farther apart. But when you're up here, you can get notes close together and you can hear them fine. But you get down here, it starts to get, you can't really hear each note. You just kind of, it's a blob. So you have to watch out. So this is not sounding too good in my opinion. That's it. So we have a C major, and they put the M, the capital M is for major, little m, or lowercase letters are for minor, whatever. Major, augmented, major, minor, diminished, blah, blah, blah. You can go through all that and knock yourself out with it. Number 2 at the bottom of the page is just some more of the same stuff, but now we're in other keys. For instance, that first one, C flat, E flat, G flat. So what is that? Well, you're thinking, well, it's a B major chord. The problem is it got all the wrong notes. Because we have C, E, G. You can't have a B major chord using C, E, G. The note names are off. So everything is down a half step. It's still a major chord. It's a C flat major chord because the bottom note in the chord, C flat, identifies the chord. And it's a major chord. You got a major third and a minor third. It's a major chord. It's a C flat major. Remember the key of C flat has 7 flats. Everything is flatted. All God's children love it. Okay, that's it. Now you go through those and have fun with it. If you have questions, I'm sure you have a teacher, ask them. Otherwise, you're stuck with asking me. On page 11, we'll talk about key signatures. Okay, key signatures. Hopefully you understand what a key signature is by now. Well, I don't have to go into all that stuff. Just remember that the sharps or flats, when they appear in a key signature, are always in a particular order. So once you know what the order is, you don't have to worry about what they are. You just count them up. And if you know the scales, you don't even have to worry about what black keys to play. You just play the notes in the scale. That works very well. Once I learned the scales in college and understood how this worked, that's how I've done it, and it sure helped. I play in any key, major or minor, doesn't matter, and I'm fine. I just play the notes in the scale. The thing that messes me up is when they put in a lot of accidentals, because those are notes not in the scale, and then However, so sharps have a particular order, and they show them at the top of the page, and flats have another order, and they show them at toward lower down. Just keep in mind that the order for sharps and the order for flats are opposite each other. Don't know if that helps or not. It's like the first sharp in a key signature is always an F sharp. Well, the last flat in a key signature is always an F flat. It's the same note name. It's just one is a sharp and one is a flat. But they do that always. The last sharp in a key signature is a B sharp. Well, the first flat in a key signature is a B flat. See, they go opposite directions. Has nothing to do, it wouldn't help me at all, and I went for years without even realizing it. It's just kind of a neat thing. Now, how do you figure them out? Well, there's tricks. In my opinion, the best way is simply learn the scales. Because when I look at it, 4 sharps, and I can mentally go, okay, what scale do I play with 4 sharps? I know it's E major. However, there is a system, and we can use this if it'll help you. That's fine. You take the last sharp in the key signature, whatever it is. They give an example, 5 sharps there. There's 5 sharps. The last one is an A sharp. You take that sharp and you go up a half step from there, in this case a B, and that's your key, B major. 5 sharps is B major. If I have 2 sharps, the last sharp is a C sharp, I go up a half step, so the key for 2 sharps is D major. That's how sharps work for major keys. Not minor, major keys. Flats, you take the next to the last flat, and that is the key signature. So they show 4 flats, and the next to the last flat is an A flat. Well, your key signature is A flat. Another way of thinking it is you can take the last flat and go down an interval of a fourth, and that's your last flat. So for flats, the last flat is a D flat. If I go down a fourth from there, it is an A flat. And the reason I point that out is that if you only have one flat in the key signature, you can't go to the next to the last flat. There isn't one. But you can go from a B flat, you go down a fourth, and you can get to the F. So it's an F major. Or you just memorize one flat is F major and then use this system. And it can help you too when you get confused on what's the key signature? Well, use this system and see if it'll help you out. Now on page 12, they do the relative minor keys. So, and this is how I do it. This is how I've always done it. I know the key signatures for all the major keys. Just boom, 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 boom. I don't even try and learn them for the minor keys because I can use the system they're talking about at the top of page 12 and I can figure it out real quick. And that got me through music theory classes in college, and it got me through all the teaching and everything I've had to do since. It just works fine. And that is, you go to the major key, the first note or the tonic note. You go down a minor third, and that's your relative minor. A minor third, 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. So that is A minor. That means they're related by key signature. So the relative minor has the same key signature as the major. C major is no sharps or flats. A minor has no sharps or flats. And figure them all out that way. So when you're figuring out the majors on the key signatures, if it's a minor key, just go down a minor third after you know what the major is, and you've got the minor key. Or learn the scales and all that too. Some books will say count up 6. So it's like C major. And by the way, when we say count up 6, we're talking the notes in the scale, not all the notes on the keyboard. So C major is white keys, so we use those. To count up 6, remember in piano or in music, the note we're on is 1. We don't start with 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You still get to the A. It's just, I like the idea of counting down 3 rather than counting up 6 because it's quicker. Tetrachords. Okay, let's do tetrachords major scale. A tetrachord is simply a 4-note scale. Tetra is 4. Chord is multiple notes at the same time. That's why I said a triad is a chord, is a type of chord. There's lots of chords here. So in C major, we have 4 notes of here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I do another tetrachord on top of that in the same key, 1, 2, 3, 4, I get a major scale. And this is the way John Thompson taught scales. And when I was little, I went through the John Thompson series. I like that series very much because the pieces and the arrangements are wonderful. The problem is it advances very quickly, and they teach chords or teach scales using tetrachords. It's completely messed me up as far as scales go, completely. Hated scales ever since until I got into college and actually learned to play them correctly and what everything is about. And after that, I actually enjoy scales very much now. So we have 2 tetrachords. That gives us 8 note total, and that's for the scale. The key has 7 notes in it, but then we use 8 as one again. Here it's 8. In my opinion, the better way to do scales is to do it with the whole step, half step pattern. Remember, a scale is a set pattern of whole steps and half steps. And you can use C major as a guide if you forget the pattern, because the whole steps are the ones with the black key in the middle. So it's a whole, half, whole, half. Whole, half, whole, half, whole, half, whole, half. Yeah, okay, that's a major scale. Any major scale. Start on any key water block on a keyboard, it doesn't matter. Use that pattern, you are guaranteed to get a major scale. You might not know what it is, but it's a major scale. Okay. That's what they're doing here. I think it's better. I have scale videos and arpeggio videos. I think it's better if you go do what I tell you to do in those videos. However, they don't use that approach, and your teacher may have a different approach, and that's fine. Do what your teacher tells you to do. But I have the approach that I use, and so there. Now, a minor scale has a different pattern. Remember, it's just use A minor because it's all the white keys, and it'll tell you the pattern. Whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. Whole, half, whole, half, whole, whole. Whole, half, whole, half, whole, whole. Okay. And that pattern will get you a minor scale every time. And they show you on page 13 the minor scales and the A minor scale and the tetrachord and all that. Now, they also have 3 different flavors of minor scales. Just in case you're not confused enough, we got more. The natural minor is the scale as it is shown in the key signature. You don't change anything. Natural. It's natural minor. Then there's what's known as a harmonic minor, and that's the minor I cover in my scale videos. Harmonic minor is actually used the most. Natural minor is... But if I take a harmonic minor and I take that 7th step, step 7 is less than one less than 8. I'll get there in a minute here. So it's 8, 7. And I take it up a half step, I get harmonic minor. Sounds a lot cooler, huh? Then there's another minor called the melodic minor, and for it, I'm going to raise the 6th and 7th steps going up. So 6th and 7th, we already raised 7, so 6 is here. But I'm going to play the natural minor going down. So it changes based on what direction you're going. A lot of music uses melodic minor. Been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. In fact, it was very common back in the Middle Ages. Now you'll find it today. As far as reading and playing the music goes, you just do whatever the notes tell you. I have found that if I can play the harmonic minor okay, then I can adjust for the other minors when I need to. Yeah, it's no problem. So I don't actually practice all 3 forms of minor. Some people, oh no, you got to practice them all. Well, knock yourself out. But for me, I just do the harmonic, and that's close enough. On page 14. Scales and arpeggios, and they give the fingering for it. I do not like using written music for scales and arpeggios. I want to focus on the keyboard and the fingers and the physical feeling of these. And that's what I cover in the scale videos. You can do what you want to do here. It's up to you. But I would recommend my scale videos and arpeggio videos for this. And for those, the most important part at the beginning is for scales, a trill exercise I have in the scale. And for the arpeggios, it's the tremolo exercise, because this drills in this physical feeling of where the notes are in relation to each other, and working over the thumb and bringing the thumb under in the whole bit. So I recommend those videos, especially the trill and the tremolo exercises. And the accents and dropping the wrist and the whole mess. Okay. On page 15, we have playing triads in the key. Well, big deal. It's C major, a triad. We're just going to go up in this pattern in the key, all white keys. That's it. How you finger it, they want this. That's fine. I don't care how you finger it. I use 2 hands. 1 hand. No hands. Oh, whatever. That's all that's about. Just keep in mind that in a scale, each step, what I call step, each note is a step, also known as degrees. Some books call them degrees. A degree of a scale is a step. They're numbered 1 through 7. So step 1 in C major is C. Step 1 in any key is the name of the key, step 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you have a chord built on that step, the chord is that number. So this is a 1 chord. We don't say chord 1. It's a 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5, 6, 7 chord, and then a 1 chord again. We don't go above 7. And generally speaking, when we talk numbers of chords, they're in Roman numerals, and when you see them in the music, you'll see them underneath the bottom staff, the chord. Now, they've changed their Roman numerals a little bit than what a lot of publishers do, so let's talk about this. In the first line, you see the Roman numerals under it, but some are lowercase and some are uppercase. Most of the time in music, you're just going to see uppercase, and as far as numbers go. but the lowercase and uppercase means something and it's important. In music notation, a lowercase number, or if I had the name of the chord, the letter up above, a lowercase letter, whichever, means minor. It's a minor chord. An uppercase letter or number, whichever, means major chord. So it's like the one chord is a major chord because it's an uppercase I. Because I have a major third and a minor third stacked, that's a major triad. So it's a one, it's a major chord, C major chord. This, well, I have a minor third and a major third. Well, that's a minor chord, minor triad. So it's a lowercase. So it's a D minor chord, D. So I'd use a lowercase d if I were going to use the note name, and it'd be up above. And then 3 is a minor triad, 4 is a major, 5 is a major, 6 is a minor, and then 7th is the weirdo. I have 2 minor triads. Well, that is a diminished. Yeah, major and minor and diminished, mostly major and minor. The 1, 4, and 5 are the primary chords. Those are major. The others are all minor except the 7th, and it's diminished. And then in the middle, number 2 there, they want you to transpose it to G and D and B flat. Well, big deal. On page 16, talk about intervals. Well, just briefly. An interval is the distance between any 2 notes. White or black, doesn't matter. And when you're counting up, you start with a note you're on, and that's 1, and you simply count up to the other note. And the keys you use are in the key signature. They're in the scale. There's not just any keys, unless it's chromatic. Chromatic is all half steps. You count them all. But we're talking about other intervals here. Like here, well, I'm in C major at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's an interval of an eighth, an octave. So you just count up here. It's a second, 1, 2. It's a third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. It just keeps going. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh. Now they have the M and P. I don't know if we need this right now, but they're just doing it, so I'll talk about it. At the top of the page, on page 16, this M2, M3, M4, blah. Okay, capital M means major, a little m means minor, and a P means perfect. Okay, so each of these intervals, major, minor, perfect, or whatever, here, a major second is a second that is a whole step apart, the 2 half steps. That is a major second. A minor second is just 1 half step apart. It's a minor second. So it's a capital M, M2, minor second. Here, a major third is, remember, 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 2 of these, so it's a minor would be 3 half steps, whichever. A fourth and fifth are perfect. Those intervals, because of the way harmony works, 4th and 5ths are considered perfect. They're actually 2 sides of the same coin. If I take a 4th and I turn it over, put the C on top, I get a 5th. They're the same, 2 halves of the same, okay. They're perfect. 4 and 5 are perfect, and then 6th is major again. And then 7th is major. It's 1 less than 8. A half step under is major. A minor 7th would that. We use minor 7ths a lot, but this is major. And that's what that's all about too. And the major and minor pattern is the same for all key or all intervals, no matter what it is. No matter what the key is, major or minor key, no matter what, if you know how many half steps are in that interval, and you can figure out major or minor. Because like a major third is 4 half steps, it doesn't matter what key you're in. A major third is always 4 half steps. Then the bottom page, they say altered intervals. Well, that's where we're taking an interval, like a second, a major second. If we change the top note somehow, I take it up down 1, or I take it up 1, I've altered it. So this major, I can do a minor, or I can go up 1 that's called augmented. I increase the augmented. I go here. So a C and a D sharp is an augmented second. And you say, no, it looks like a minor third to me. It's got 3 half steps. We're dealing with note names. You got to use C and D as the note names. You can't use C and E. That's a different interval. We're dealing with this. A C and E, if I go down, that's a minor third. That's fine because I'm dealing with note names, C, E. If I do a C and an E double flat, here, it's actually a diminished if you take a minor down another. But that's not a C and a D harmonically because I'm using C and E chord. It's a C and E double flat. You understand? I got to keep the same note names. And they have them there. So you can do major and minor and augmented and all that other junk. Okay. This review's been long and boring, and I got bored, and you're probably bored, but I think that's about all I have to say. Let me know if you have any questions. But it's important that you understand all this stuff because as we go through the book, you're going to be needing to use it and remember it.